It's Thursday, December 30th, 2021, and the morning edition is live. On today's show, the opening of school has been delayed. 3 more COVID deaths reported. A driver walks away from a serious accident with barely a scratch. And we're going rowing. So let's start the morning off right. Pleasant good morning. Hope everything is going well with you. We've got about a few more hours or just a day left before we roll in 2022, before we bring in 2022. A lot of you are reflecting at this moment and deciding what you're going to do for the new year. A lot of people making some great resolutions. That's a very good thing. We've got a whole lot in our news cycle. Want to remind you of a press briefing that's going to be taking place at 11 a.m. this morning. At the office of the Prime Minister, the nation's chief, expected to be at that press conference or address of the press during the office of the Prime Minister's press briefing, 11 a.m. on the first 100 days in office. A whole lot of progress has been made during those 100 days, or first 100 days in office. So we're going to see the office of the Prime Minister's press briefing at 11 a.m. this morning, all right? A lot coming out of the Ministry of Health's press conference yesterday. The opening of schools, as many of you are aware, has been postponed, and quite naturally, we're experiencing a surge in COVID cases. So there was the postponement of schools. Schools were scheduled to reopen January 11th, but because of the surge in COVID cases, it has been postponed, all right? So another thing we're going to be bringing to you this morning, many of you, and I want to encourage all of you to please exercise caution as you traverse the streets. This morning on our newscast, Lloyd Allen is going to bring a story with us relating to this freak accident, a major freak accident happening. Luckily, the victim was spared, and so you'll get more of that from Lloyd Allen. So another thing that we're following, and good news for you Junkanoo lovers, particularly me, because New Year's and Boxing Day, I love my Junkanoo, right? Well, you'll get an opportunity to participate this time around, a virtual Junkanoo. And so some good news for Junkanooers, and you'll get more of that today, this morning, right here on Morning Edition. So let's get started with our morning traffic. Our very own Lloyd Allen joining us live. Good morning, Lloyd.
Because he was ejected at least 30 feet from his vehicle.
Well, good morning, Desmond, and good morning, Bahamas. A great start to your Thursday morning today. Your first look at traffic coming in from the intersection of Grace Avenue and Robinson Road. And as you may be able to see, it's a smooth flow of traffic in this area. If you're coming out of the east on this westbound lane, you should be able to get to your morning destination nice and smoothly without much delay. This morning, we're also joined by Corporal Patrick Kemp from the Royal Bahamas Police Force Traffic Division, providing an update on traffic developments over the past 24-hour period. Good morning, Officer Kemp.
Good morning, Mr. Lloyd. Good morning, Bahamas. And season's greetings to all. Within the last 24 hours, Alan, we've had some 6+ accidents, including the one that we would have visited yesterday on Market Street in the area of Bahama Avenue. Again, Mr. Allen, I want to send and continuously send a caution note to those drivers so that they please drive with due care and attention. Limit the speed. There's no need for the excessive speed throughout the streets of New Providence, throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. It's not necessary, especially on yesterday. You can tell as a result of speed what can happen.
Now, of course, Officer Camp, we're going to provide our audience with some more information about that accident. Yesterday, I was on that scene as well. One of those things that I observed was that many of the belongings of the driver were thrown about and became debris as a result of that vehicle flipping over. Now, I wanted to ask you the question this morning about those essentials that drivers need once they get into an accident, and keeping in mind that, again, things may get shifted in the event of an accident. What do you suggest?
Well, in a case like that accident that occurred yesterday, where the vehicle had flipped, it's most likely any personal belongings to an individual in the vehicle would get tossed around and most likely be ejected from the vehicle. Other than that, I would suggest that you properly secure your items in the vehicle, even for accidents that are not so severe, because persons who are on the scene, especially before emergency personnel, could tend to move your items off that scene. And very important again, Mr. Lloyd, you'll want to have your proper documents when on scene of an accident. We need you to be in the possession of your driver's license, your title certificate for the vehicle, and most importantly, to provide insurance certificate.
And then finally, this morning, I know one of those questions that Desmond had this morning. Of course, New Year's Eve celebrations are approaching. Any bits of advice? Are police presence going to be beefed up on the streets? And even during the final hours of New Year's Eve, any advice?
Well, Mr. Lloyd, expect that there's going to be a heavy flow of traffic, especially going into the weekend because of the New Year's festivities that we expect to take place, and expect officers to be able to, I got to send a special congratulations and an encouragement to our officers out there. They're working above and beyond. When you're at home asleep at night, resting comfortably, we're out on the street going above and beyond to assist with making sure our communities are safe. So expect the officers to be out there to do their endeavor best to make sure that our communities are safe.
Well, thank you as well, Officer Camp. I think this is one of our last times we'll meet before the new year. I know this is your day off. I want to say thank you for coming out as well. And we always do appreciate you. Of course, that's a quick look at your Thursday morning traffic report. Desmond, back to you guys in studio.
Well, great work there, Lloyd. And you heard it New Year's Eve, traditionally a time when there's a lot of parties and celebrations, and traffic police will be out in full force. Good to know, right? Staying on the outside, pleasant, stable conditions will continue across the Bahamas as high pressure remains a dominant feature through tonight. Partly to mostly sunny conditions, warm and a bit breezy across the central and southeast Bahamas, with a few passing isolated showers possible, turning mostly clear tonight. Today's high temperature, 84 degrees Fahrenheit, and the overnight low temperature, 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Here's a look now at your extended forecast. The fourth wave of COVID-19 has prompted officials to postpone the January 11th opening of school. This from Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Michael Dorville, as he addressed a national COVID-19 press conference on Wednesday.
We have decided to postpone the opening of schools for an additional 2 weeks as the Ministry of Health epidemiological team assess the data that's coming in.
Stricter measures have been put in place at the Princess Margaret Hospital to mitigate against the spread of the new variant. Some doctors and nurses at PMH have been exposed to COVID in this latest surge of cases and are said to be in isolation and quarantine and in good health. Infectious disease specialist Dr. Nakia Forbes provided this update.
Unfortunately, because of the situation with those open wards in Princess Margaret Hospital, we do have a number of the wards closed, and we project that some of these wards will be out of their quarantine period and be able to reopen as soon as this afternoon or tomorrow. And healthcare workers can also be exposed in this way. We do continue to put mitigation measures in place, including testing on admission and screening checks, and also providing personal protective equipment for healthcare workers and encouraging vaccination among healthcare workers so that can minimize what is called nosocomial transmission, or infections that happen in the health workspace.
3 deaths added to the COVID toll, according to the Ministry of Health's latest release. All are New Providence residents: a 42-year-old male who died on December 20th, a 60-year-old female who died on December 24th, and a 54-year-old female who passed on December 28th. The death toll now at 716, with 38 cases still under investigation. As for new infections, 65 on record, with 50 of those cases here in the capital, 4 in Grand Bahama, 8 in Bimini and Cat Key, and 3 with locations pending. 9 of the newly infected have a history of travel within the past 14 days. Two Jamaican nationals believed to be behind a Christmas Eve drug bust in Anagua appeared in the magistrate's court on Wednesday, arraigned on a number of charges related to the 611-pound marijuana seizure. 34-year-old Niru Anthony James and 50-year-old Devon Richards pleaded not guilty to the charges of importation of dangerous drugs, possession of dangerous drugs with the intent to supply, and 2 counts of conspiracy. The men, who claimed their innocence, were denied bail and remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. They're due back in court February 22nd for trial. Government facing liability of up to $250,000 for at least 3 correctional officers that were told not to return to work. Minister of National Security, the Honorable Wayne Monroe, says a number of officers were sent home for as much as 4 years by Prison Commissioner Charles Murphy, who's now out on administrative leave.
You just cannot send the public servant home. There are steps to discharge someone from the public servant. And so Commissioner Clare and Deputy Commissioner Murray will be collating a list so that we could know what is the financial exposure to the government for prison officers who were sent home, for correctional officers who were sent home wrongly. And they seem to be popping up daily, weekly. Persons who said, former Commissioner Murphy just told me to go home, put my name on the gate to say I can't come back in the prison. And that is not how you go about dismissing someone from the public service.
After 2 cycles with no Junkanoo on Bay Street, the public can get their cultural fix on Saturday night with a virtual parade. Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, the Honorable Mario Bullock, says 7 A groups and 7 B groups are scheduled to participate in the New Providence Parade that will be aired on ZNS. He says the event had to be delayed a week due to production issues. Bullock says the cost of putting on the Nassau Parade is an estimated $190,000 with a total of $300,000, including family island parades.
You can watch it free. It's on televised, and it's also going to be on the ministry's Facebook page and a few other social media. So we just want people to get a virtual movie and get your popcorn and your drinks. So on Saturday night, sit back, watch the parade. I think the A and the B groups performed well, and doing the recording, I was there. And so I think you will get that feeling that we all miss down Bay Street. We wouldn't have that exact feeling, that feeling those drums beating through our bodies, but you will get an appreciation of what we've missed for the last 2 years.
Everything is changing, and your favorite hardware and home improvement store is getting with the program. We Buy You Sell is rolling out its new online shopping feature. If you go to our website, wbusbahamas.com, it's a quick and easy 3-step process. Step 1, browse the gallery and select your item. Step 2, add to cart. And Step 3, check out. Go to our website, wbusbahamas.com, to shop with us today.
Back to the morning edition. Well, a driver walking away from a serious accident Wednesday unscathed. Our Lloyd Allen was on the scene.
An early morning miss for one driver who hit a utility pole along with a gas tank before coming to a complete stop. ZNS News arriving to the scene just moments after that collision. Corporal Patrick Camp from Police Traffic Division provided these initial details.
Sometime around 8 a.m. this morning, I received some information from our control room that an accident with injuries occurred on Market Street in the area of Bahama Avenue, involving a single vehicle and a lamp pole. Upon my arrival on the scene, I would have observed a vehicle with extensive damage parked on the western side of Market Street, facing the eastern direction with extensive damages.
According to Camp, the driver of that vehicle showed no signs of trauma and refused to be transported to hospital for additional medical support.
Because we've had too many cases where patients refuse assistance from medical services, and then we get a call later on that something further had occurred based on the injuries.
As the matter is now under active investigation, one bystander says he witnessed the collision from the start and is surprised that the incident did not result in a fatality.
Well, when I noticed a car in midair flipping over and I dashed to the front of the store, a gentleman was ejected from the car onto the sidewalk, and when I came, the car landed in the front of the Campari bar next door to the store. I quickly ran over to check him, and he said he was all right. I got a chair, and he was sitting in the chair until the ambulance and police arrived.
Roming says while the accident was unfortunate, a further challenge remains as the flower store he operates requires continuous power. He is hopeful that electricity can be restored before any further losses are incurred. He says while the area is not known for frequent collisions, his advice remains for drivers to remain within the speed limit.
I pay very much attention to vehicular traffic, as well as watching for pedestrians on the sidewalk.
And as cleanup began shortly after police had concluded their on-site investigation, crews from Bahamas Power and Light also arrived to assess a damaged pole along with power disruption and told our news team that restoration could take anywhere from 2 to 5 hours.
Wow, so be careful out the streets. I know there's a lot of celebrations and parties, but be very careful on the streets, all right? Now, before you celebrate New Year's Eve, I know it's going to be festive. There's some information you need to know from the COVID Enforcement Unit. Officers of the COVID-19 Enforcement Unit want you to follow the rules. And this New Year's Eve, they're taking a no-tolerance approach to ensure the COVID rules are in play.
We want to ensure the public, members of the public, that the unit will be out there in full force enforcing the protocols, ensuring that business places and the citizenry alike are following the protocols. And so if you are deciding to have a social this coming holiday, we ask that you do so with extreme caution. Please follow the protocols as best as you can. The ministry are sending out new guidelines, and so we are asking that you follow those guidelines as best as possible.
Assistant Commissioner of Police Information and Communications Technology, Shivago Dame, says the recent surge in cases also prompting officers to accelerate their efforts, residents being urged to not let their guard down.
Over the last 3 months, you are quite aware that a number of persons have been vaccinated. The vaccination of persons has gone up. We have over 100,000+ persons who are vaccinated. And so with that, we find that those persons who were having social gatherings, for the most part, the persons who were attending those social gatherings were following the protocols. Either they were vaccinated or they are taking the relevant tests to ensure that the persons who are attending are COVID negatives. And so the COVID Enforcement Unit find that there was no need really at this juncture to issue citations to a lot of persons because they were following the protocols. But that's not to say that if we do come across instances where persons are not following the protocols, that we cannot issue citations. The regulations is quite clear. Again, if you are having a social gathering and you are not following the protocols as stated by the regulations, you can be cited.
And as scorers prepare to celebrate this New Year's Eve, the COVID cop outlining these measures while also sending this strong appeal to business owners.
So when the COVID Enforcement Unit on patrols as they patrol this holiday, we will be checking business places, we will be checking restaurants. The orders as it stands today states that a restaurant actually can have up to 50% occupancy. Those persons who are dining inside must be fully vaccinated, and if you're not fully vaccinated, then you must have a negative antigen test or PCR test to dine with inside. And so as the COVID Enforcement Unit patrol the streets and check business places and restaurants, we will be checking with your patrons, seeing if they have a COVID-19 test, ensuring that they are fully vaccinated, and if they are not, be assured that there are penalties for that.
Well, good information there from the COVID cop. This morning, we introduce you to a prominent religious leader who's singing the praises while being celebrated by those who love him. Here's Jamila Missick.
The San Salvador Teachers College honoring Pastor Rudolph Roberts in a special way before the Christmas holiday. Pastor Roberts, after having a near-death encounter with COVID-19, was able to overcome his illness and is now in good health. Dr. Cecil Thompson says Roberts was once a part of the San Salvador Teachers College and they thought it important to celebrate his life.
The name Pastor Rudy Roberts has not only local, but national, not only national, with international significance. It's debatable, but I believe in North Andros and Central Andros, they love him the most. They used to fly plane loads of crabs down here for his Mother's Day service. And so it is a joy for us to have Pastor here.
Pastor Robert's wife, who also contracted the COVID-19 virus, is sharing the importance of having strong faith.
When people would come and say, he's dead, I said, no, he shall live and he shall not die. I went through all of that at home. So I had to just turn on everyone and just go up to God. So what I want to tell you is, God is faithful and I'm glad.
Now Pastor Roberts thanking the San Salvador Teachers College for the honor.
I've lost fear of death and fear of the devil a long, long time ago. Lost fear. Have no fear at all of Satan and his demons. Have no fear of death. The body of Christ must lose fear of death for the next round that God is placing the body of Christ to face. We must lose fear of death. And so I can, as I look here right now at the San Salvador students, I am touched, really touched. I want to thank all of you.
Wow, amazing story. And it's good that we can honor those who are making an impact. Well, as we head to the break, we take a look back. Today in Bahamian history, December 30th, 1936, one of the world's most famous soft drinks was introduced to Nassau when the Sunshine Bottling Company began making Coca-Cola. Also on December 30th, 1946, a new Bahamian currency, the £5 note, was put in circulation.
Do you worry that you or your loved one may get COVID-19 and possibly die? Getting a COVID-19 vaccine can lower your risk of severe illness or death from COVID-19. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine is available, and currently, you'll only need one shot to be fully vaccinated. Talk to your healthcare professional about getting vaccinated. Continue to wash your hands, wear your face mask, practice physical distancing, and get vaccinated now.
NBA phenomenon DeAndre Ayton is doing big things. The Bahamian big man has helped the Puma brand establish itself as a real player in the basketball market and is even crossing over now with the implementation of a women's basketball collection.
You know, just seeing them get recognized and for the things they do and, you know, for their creativity, you know, everyone deserves a chance to, you know, just express, you know, their imagination, and just seeing stuff like that be on a platform like Puma is super insane. You know, it's just lit to see, and it's motivation as well as an inspiration, you know what I'm saying? Because at the same time, I want to, you know what I'm saying, show my imagination and what I got as well.
In this season of giving, DeAndre and his mom have also been assisted by Puma as they help out those in need.
Growing up, you're not, you know, coming to my house without leaving without full belly. You know, my mom doesn't, you know, she takes care of everyone. That's what I'm trying to say. She just takes care of everybody. She cares for everyone like you're her child, you know what I'm saying, in the correct manner. And in a way, it's like, you know, coming to the United States and, you know, having a whole new life and her adapting, you know, she still finds some way to give back. And, you know, us being fortunate to be in the position I'm in, she still finds a way to help the community and, you know, teaming up with Puma and share her ideas on just giving back. You know, she'll go shopping with families and, you know, just make them get bags of Puma gear. And, you know, just seeing that is like, it motivates me, because I remember how we grew up, you know what I'm saying? I grew up off of secondhand clothes, and for us to be, you know, in the position we're in to give families and put smiles on their faces, it's like a dream.
The Nassau Rowing Association, in conjunction with the Sparks Rowing Club, hosting over 20 collegiate rowers this week at Lake Cunningham. Canadian Olympic gold medalist among those in town, giving some good pointers.
The Sparks Camp is a great opportunity not only for the athletes who are coming in to visit the Bahamas, but also for us as a rowing club, because we're able to, help support with our boats, show the beauty of Nassau, and it just brings in more tourism, for the country. So if we can support sports tourism in any way, it's great for us. Everyone wins, and we're really happy to share our beautiful country with everybody.
You don't have to know anything. You can come here and learn everything you need to know. Not hard to access.
We've been trying for years to try and form something, and as the club has slowly built over these years, we've been finally able to, they've gotten big enough that we can actually work with them.
The water itself, we have a straight run, so we're able to go, back and forth with the boats, the Olympic style boats, and the water itself is actually a very good quality, like it's elite level quality.
Well, Sports Minister, the Honorable Mario Boleg, believes there's a bright future for the Bahamas when it comes to rowing.
I believe this administration is willing to work along with the Nassau Rowing Association and its international partners to make sure that we find a home for them, to ensure that we assist this association with the facility and the necessary boats it need to attract those type of investors here as it relates to the NCAA, and also even to be able to have qualifying tournaments and international NCAA tournaments to be played here on the lake here. And I think sometimes a little investment and a little push, the dollar value that we will receive in return will be much greater than the money that's spent.
'Tis the season of giving, so don't be shy. Reach out to others.
Call a family member you haven't heard from in a while. Catch up with an old friend. Volunteer with a charity. Or make a donation. Give someone a helping hand. Take some food to your neighbor. There are many ways to help others, and much more ways to show you care.
So start making plans. We all can show a little more holiday cheer. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from ZNS Digital Media.
Thank you so much for staying with us. The nation's chief this morning, optimistic about the new year.
I hope so, 2022, that we conquer this pandemic and move to a more prosperous country that we deserve.
Fresh off the heels of her stellar performance at the recent Miss Universe Beauty pageant, beauty maven, Miss Bahamas Universe Chantel O'Brien is hoping to advance her career as a professional trainer come 2022.
Just hoping that it's just as riveting as this year end has been for me. My pageant career is just about done. I'm on retirement at this point for real this time. And so really what I'm really expecting to do is being able to train and mentor other young girls, young women who are interested in being able to take on the world stage and do even more than what I was able to do during this time.
Well, the Queen says she will continue her empowerment platform.
Even though there hasn't been anything disastrous, thank God, there are still a lot of amazing causes out there that still needs our help. And so Runway for Relief, I'm hoping to have a comeback, if not in the year end of 2022, maybe a little bit earlier than that.
Well, everybody is making all kinds of New Year's resolutions. Got about, a day left before 2022. The most outrageous New Year's resolutions and plans I've heard: to move into a new country, you get lipo for those women out there, more loving, more kind. Anyway, the best thing I can tell you is make sure that your plans are meaningful, all right? And you're going to be hearing some more resolutions and plans from so many of you before the end of the week. It's so good to have you with us. So glad that you can tune in to the morning edition. Be sure to tune into the ZNS Network TV and radio updates throughout the day. And then you can tune into the Northern Edition at 6:30. And the Bahamas tonight at 7. Be sure to tune in for the Office of the Prime Minister's briefing at 11. The nation's chief will address that event. That's a wrap. Good morning. Make it a great day.